There's a science to change. There's a story behind that. This is your daily message from Chad, number 905, to upgrade your mental game today by telling yourself a better story, because the most important story you hear is the story you tell yourself. If you've not followed or subscribed yet, please do. This message is dedicated to Pugh. Here's the upgrade. You don't have to rely on willpower to stick with whatever you're trying to change. Upgraded thinking understands the psychological forces at play and uses them to work for you, not against you. Here's the story. Lewis Gordon Pugh is a British open-water long-distance swimmer. In 2007, he attempted to become the first person to swim in each ocean: the Atlantic, Pacific, Indian, Southern, and Arctic. He'd completed 4, and the last was the Arctic at the North Pole. He had attempted swims at the North Pole twice and failed. During his second attempt, he quit because the cells in his hands burst from the icy water. The pain was unbearable. 2 days later, on July 15, 2007, he went back into the water in only a regular Speedo, cap, and goggles. No wetsuit, no grease. There to support him was a team of 29 members from 10 different countries. His performance coach, David Becker, set up 10 flags 100 meters apart along the 1 kilometer stretch. Becker took Pugh to the front of the ship beforehand and said, quote, "All I want you to do is think about those people who have sacrificed so much for you, who've inspired you so much that you're actually here today. And when you stand at the start, all I want you to do is think about the Norwegians on your team." That was the first flag. "Just think about the 100-meter mark. Please, Lewis, don't think about doing a kilometer. You'll never make it. Break that beast down into little manageable chunks, and when you get to the Norwegian flag, forget about the Norwegians and just think about the Swedes." The Swedish flag was the second flag. "And so on until you get to the end," end quote. It worked. He completed the 1 kilometer swim. He was in the water for almost 19 minutes. He became the first person to swim in each ocean. In 2010, the UN appointed him as Patron of the Oceans. Sean Young got his PhD in psychology from Stanford. He's now a professor at UCLA's medical school and wrote a great book called Stick With It, in which he walks us through the science of making behavioral changes stick. He tells us that we need to work with 7 psychological forces if we want to master the process of changing our behavior. And he boils them down into a handy acronym: SCIENCE. S.C.I.E.N.C.E. That stands for stepladders, community, important, easy, neurohacks, captivating, and ingrained. Lewis's story is a great illustration of all of these, but let's just consider the first 2, step ladders. Sean tells us that we need to break our dreams down into goals and then break those goals down into steps. Becker broke the 1,000 meters into 100-meter chunks for Pugh. The simpler and smaller the steps, the better. Climb up your step ladder. Check out message number 639 titled Dominoes to complement this. Second, community. The science is unequivocal. One of the fastest ways to change your behavior is to surround yourself with people who are supporting you in your behavioral change. The biggest switch for Pugh between his last attempt and his previous failures was his focus on his community. The better story to tell yourself is, I take small steps and have a community to support me along the way. The messages recently have been about getting a jump on your new you resolutions. This is how you make changes and stick with it. You don't have to rely solely on willpower. There is a process for change and science behind it. How can you chunk things down into smaller steps, and who can you bring around you for support and inspiration? Tell me a story of sticking with it to fromchadsmith@gmail.com. If you haven't followed or subscribed yet, please do. Send a text to someone and ask them, what has been a change you've wanted to make and have had the hardest time sticking with? You can download my book, The Most Powerful Story in the World, by going to fromchad.gumroad.com. The transcript of this message and hundreds of others are always available at www.fromchad.com.